One of the most important components of writing an answer is associated with comprehending the question. What does the question demand? What the question demands, how many ways a question can go on to demand, and going by that, what are the meanings of a different type of tail words that we go on to know, or what are the directives to the questions. And directive to the questions means with respect to every question, there is some degree of a directive that is going to be given. When we're going to be talking about certain type of a directive that is going to be given, it is about a differentiation of the words like that of what, with which, with discuss, with analyze, with critically analyze, with comment, with anything associated with them. Now, it is very prudent that from a teacher's perspective, these things are taken care of. It is very prudent that from a student's perspective, these are going to be taken care of even more. Now, why is it that they have to be taken care of even more? Is because a student's career is going to be completely dependent on that. When a student knows that these are 10, 12, 20, 30 different type of words that have been used, there cannot go on to be a same answer to different type of tail words or the questions that go on to begin differently. This is simply not possible. Now, having said that, it is also not possible that there can be some 30 different ways of answering a question also. Although there can be some 5 or 6 different ways of answering a question. And it must be realized by the student that when these questions are asked, then this is what is meant. It is meant that the students must go on to follow that. That is what exactly is required in this case. Now, when we are going to talk about that is, if there is a question beginning in a certain manner, then this answer must go on to also follow a certain pattern. Now, having said that as well, now one must go on to realize that this must be, and I repeat it, this must be even at the heart of the examiner who is looking to check this answer also. Now, whether it goes on to be existing there or not, one thing is sure that we do not know that part. That is possible, that may not be possible also. I going to give you some degree of information on that. A good number of people who are chosen to examine your papers is a distinct possibility that some of them, quite a good number of them, may not go on to know the meaning of all of them. And the moment you're going to see the answer, they're going to check it the way it had to be checked, not exactly the way the directions have been given to them. And not by knowing that the meaning of a different type of tail words happen to be different. That is distinct possibility, and this possibility exists. This possibility is there, and it is identified and realized as well. Of course, this is one of these glitches. UPSC is not an infallible institution where one can go on to see everything taking place in the most perfect manner possible. It's not. Second is, most of these examiners go on to belong to 50, 60 years of age. Now, at 50, 60 years of age, they tend to go on to become rigid. They go on to belong to the older school of thought, despite the fact that whatever they may go on to do to adapt to the new type of a situation. That's the second aspect that has to be taken into account. Now, all of those people who go on to belong to this rigid school of thought, they may go on to like certain things, they may not go on to like certain things without or with a reason. And this is something that is not known. Most of these youngsters they can go on to follow a protocol and they can go on to stay fit into that type of a situation. Most of these people who belong to this age group, they don't go on to do that. The third is a good number of answers that have been written, they go on to involve a lot of subjectivity from the people. That means the people who are going to check your answers, they go on to be very subjective as well in this case. Despite the fact that some of these instructions have been given, they may have been trained in some way or the other. Removing subjectivity and making it completely objective in the same manner as an American system maybe, or maybe the British system maybe, is something that is imaginable. And why it is imaginable? Because Indians are not exactly in the frame of an American mind. They are not in the American frame of mind. And when we say that, it means that they do go on to carry some amount of subjective, they may go on to like something, and they may go on to have no plausible reason to say that they go on to like or dislike certain things. And also that some of these answers will go on to show some of the biases of the people who are involved. Now, despite that, we have to know what exactly are the meaning of these tail words and whether these tail words are taken in a very fastidious manner or not. Because ultimately, from our side, from the side of the student, a student has to be perfect. Maybe if there is a flaw in the system, the student may not go on to help that, but then he has to be perfect as much as possible, and he has to be near perfect in this case. Now, having said that, also a student has to follow certain type of directive in his answer. Every answer that has to be given, that must follow the objective of the question. I have got a question, and this question has certain type of directives attached to it, directives given to it, and this must go on to follow. This must be reflected in the answer. An answer is sought after only on the basis of whether it goes on to follow the question or not. It's like, to simplify that, if someone goes on to ask you, what's your name? And then it changes it to form, analyze your name. Now, there cannot be same answer to both of these type of questions. These questions additionally also going to make it sure that you don't going to react to the question. Most of these candidates, for example, the moment I went on to ask it, what's your name? They would have come, what would have flashed in their mind is their name. And the moment I would have asked this question again, analyze your name, again the same thing that would have flashed in their mind also. So most of these students tend to react to a question rather than either respond to it or reply to it. And that is one of these flaws of the question. That is one of these flaws of these students. Some of these students are not trained right from the beginning to follow these directives. A question goes on to follow many directives. They go on to fall in different type of categories. One of these categories go on to be description based. The description based questions go on to be of 4 different types. One is describe, another is outline, the third is give an account of, and the fourth is write an essay on. So now, write an essay on, write a geographical essay on, write a sociological essay on, write a historical essay on, write a scientific essay on. It goes on to be, by and large, the same. Of course, semantically speaking, all of them are different. Now, we're going to take one case study, and that case study is going to be urban growth. We're going to pick up this topic, and we'll go on to use this word describe to it, we're going to use the word discuss to it, we're going to use the word analyze to it, critical analyze to it, comment on it, and so on, so forth. The topic will go on to remain the same while we keep on changing the question. Now that will go on to give a basic idea, moreover, a much better conceptual idea to a student as to what these things actually go on to mean. Description is a straightforward, usually factual presentation of what is seen. I repeat it, what is seen, not what is observed and what is interpreted. I repeat it, it's not what is observed and what is interpreted, what is seen. That is, what is seen as black is black, what is seen as white is white. Supposing the question is, describe the problems of urban growth in Delhi. describe the problems of urban growth in Mumbai, describe the problems of urban growth in India. Then the description will go on to mean only the description of the problem. That there are a lot of areas in India that are going to be slum ridden. Slums are dilapidated buildings, houses, which go on to be very bad from the perspective of sewerage, where the people who go on to live, they are downtrodden, and most of these people don't have access to the basic amenities of life. The roads are also not going to be very properly arranged in the city areas, and after each of these rains, the roads going to develop a lot of potholes. In some of these smaller tier 2 or tier 3 cities, these road conditions are even going to be bad, while it may be that the condition of roads between two cities are going to be largely good. Now we have not talked about any cause, we have not talked about anything else, we have only talked about the description. That is, how is it that we can go on to actually describe an urban problem? That is the problem that is goes on to exist, the one that we go on to see. And I repeat it, not exactly that we observe or we go on to interpret. I have not interpreted anything here. That is, the roads are bad. I have said that the roads are bad. That there are slums in most of these urban areas, and that these slums are made of dilapidated buildings that are also going to be that. They are made of dilapidated, that means they are completely in a collapsible situation. Now this is the meaning of describe. Outline is slightly different in the sense that is, we have to even simplify this topic to pick up an outline. That is, most of the urban problems are associated with the growth of the slums in urban areas. Other problems include transportation bottlenecks. Most of these transportation bottlenecks are visible in the form that there are high density traffic, low density traffic, there are high moving, fast moving traffic, slow moving traffic. The roads are not in a good condition. The third can go on to be the state of education of the people, the civic sense of the people. So the moment you start picking up greater number of topics, that goes on to make it outline. That is, you are only painting an outline of the topic, not going into the deep to describe it. And it's the same as that of give an account of. Slightly different is going to be write a geographical essay on, write a sociological essay on any type of a topic. For example, the moment we're going to pick up write an essay, that means we have to be a bit orderly. That is, most of the problems that are seen in the urban areas that go on to belong to different categories. One of the problem is associated with the bad condition of the roads. The second problem is associated with a high concentration of people in the urban areas in a small space. The third problem is associated with the civic sense of the people. The fourth is associated with the lack of social responsibility. So the moment you're going to systematize it with the same type of an outline, with the same type of form, that goes on to become a essay on urban problems, on the urban growth. That is one tail word. That is one directive of a question. The second category is going to be, that is only touching the topic. That is, there will be some of these questions which will not go on to require that the candidates go on to being a very solid and a deep knowledge about the topic. They will go to test whether the students are able to curb their knowledge or not, whether they are able to prune their information level in this case or not, whether they are able to bring about certain type of editing in their questions and their answer writing or not. So that is going to be about touching the topic. Such type of topics are associated with terminologies like enumerate, indicate, bring out, throw light on, give an outline of. Now, outline and given outline of is by and large the same, but then given outline of, that means it's specifically instructed. And in this case, what the examiner wants is that, is it that the person concerned, the student concerned, the candidate concerned, is he wise enough to prune his knowledge if he knows it or not? Maybe if the candidate doesn't go to know that, in any case he will go on to give an outline on an account of it. So what the examiner goes on to do is that, what the question setter goes on to do is that, he goes on to subject the candidates to different type of situations. In some of them, test the knowledge. In some of them, prune his knowledge. In some of them, how to see whether he is able to organize himself or not. In some of these cases, whether he is able to express himself or not. In some of these cases, whether he is able to, he is able to be courageous enough to give his own ideas or not in this case. Now this is one group where the question setter goes on to only say, enumerate the problems of urban growth in India. That makes it simple. Or give an indication of the various types of urban problems that India is facing. Or bring out, in short, in brief, the urban problems. Or throw light on the urban problems of India. Or give an outline of the urban problems of India. It's the same part. Or give an outline of the problems of urban growth, enumerate the problems of urban growth, and so on. So that goes on to be enumeration. Enumeration is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these students can well go on to go so-called point-wise. This is one way. Enumeration means any number of aspects, and maybe the student can go to classify it as well, without dwelling too much upon the description of the topic and the details associated with it. So that is going to be enumerate, indicate, bring out. That means the same topic will go on to be written in the form of, there are various types of urban problems that India is facing. They are going to be categorized under and so on. There is environmental problems, one of them social problems, the third is going to be civic problems, the fourth is going to be associated with psychological problems, the fifth is administration problems, the governance problems, and indicating each one of them. The better the organization case, the better it is going to be. Now, when you are writing such type of answers, the first thing that you require is prepare a rough work. Unless you prepare a rough work, you are bound to falter in these type of conditions. So when you're going to prepare a rough work, then go on to first categorize it, and after having categorized it, then keep on writing in between what can go on to be the topic. Now, having done the rough work, let's say environmental problems, and then give some amount of a space to say social problem, give some amount of a space to talk about psychological problems, then some amount of a space for something else. So you have 5 different type of problems in this case. And in the rough work, go on to give some amount of space so that anything that goes into strike your mind at any point of time, you can go on to insert it there and then in between as well. That is the way these type of questions are going to be inserted and attempted as well. It is going to be an outline. Even if it is that you don't know too much about it, this is how you can go on to write it. That's the second category of it. The third category of it is going to be the simplification of the topic. There are 2 ideas associated with the simplification of this of any type of a question or any type of a problem. One of them is elucidate, another is going to be elaborate. Elucidate is associated with a word lucid. Lucid, that means elucidate it, so lucidify it, that means make it simple. That is the meaning is to make lucid, clear or plain, especially by way of explanation. So it is something like an explanation. You're going to explain it and explain it in the most simple manner possible. How much do you going to simplify it goes on to become your part. And the same is going to be elaboration, but elaboration is going to be slightly extending on that count. For example, lucidification of the problems of urban growth will go on to be, urban areas suffer from a variety of type of problems. These problems are traffic problems. Traffic problem stems from the fact that the roads are narrow. In some places, the traffic is not classified. In some places, there is a fast moving and a slow moving traffic. In some cases, the roads have not been properly designed. In some cases, these roads are also bumpy, and in some cases, often on waterlogging takes place here. Because there are so many conditions associated with the roads, sometimes the vehicle stops, sometimes even though the vehicles can go on to move faster, they are not able to move faster. Sometimes the roads are in such a bad condition that the vehicles break down. Sometimes because the traffic is not going to be classified, there are a lot of chances of a certain type of small accidents taking place on the roads. That is simplification of it. That is elucidate. We have elucidated this problem in this case. Now when we are going to be talking about elaboration, then we are going to pick up one of them. That is again the traffic problem. Traffic is a problem in the urban areas. It's the cause of a problem and it is an effect of a problem. It is a problem in the urban areas largely because people require to move, and people require to move only during certain times. For example, most of this movement takes place during the office hours, when the people go on to their offices and they are going to come back. So there are going to be two maximas of the movement of the traffic in an urban areas. That goes on to put an enormous amount of a strain on the existing road traffic. Most of the people and almost all the offices close down simultaneously, and most of the people start moving in their own private vehicles and even by a public transport, and they start going back to their residences. Now in the course of this type of a movement, some people may be in a hurry, some people may go on to try to take a shortcut, and sometimes they do go on to leave the protocol of moving on the roads to the winds. Without such type of a protocol, the problems are always going to be getting compounded. Moreover, when the movement takes place, then this movement doesn't go on to identify most of the times in most of these urban areas in India, and India hasn't set a very strong protocol with respect to that, which are the traffics which go on to be moving at a high speed and the low speed and then the low speed. Frequently, we do go on to find that the fastest moving traffic has to be on the right side, then the medium speed movement of the traffic on the middle side, and the slowest movement traffic on the left side. But sometimes it can go on to get reverse also, and people can go on to move in a snake-like manner on the roads. This type of a traffic problem differs from city to city. In most of these places like Delhi, where the traffic rules are a bit stricter, there is certain degree of a control over it. In Mumbai, people are disciplined. In Gujarat, people are even more going to be disciplined. But in places like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, where people don't go on to follow so much amount of discipline, there are a lot of problems that are created out of nowhere as well. Now you must have observed that in this topic we have elaborated it, expanded the whole topic to pick up some of these aspects that require to go for not deeper meaning, that requires a good amount of elaboration in this case. So that is going to be about elucidate and elaborate, and without actually playing with the meaning of the words. That means the meaning of the words as it goes on to be remains the same. Now so far we have talked about three of these directives: simplification, only outline, description based. In none of these things, introduction goes on to matter as much as it can go on to matter in a certain type of topics that require a deeper meaning. In words that are going to require a deeper meaning, these things go on to matter a lot. How is it that you're going to introduce the topic? How is it that you're going to conclude the topic? And you must go on to understand that. That is, wherever that deeper meaning is going to be concerned, and you are able to reach to that situation, and you are also able to tackle a topic that goes on to be having a simple meaning, that means your job is done, your time is taken, and that you go on to leave a lasting impression in the minds of the examiner. Some of these words will go on to include words like that of explain. Another is going to be examine, analyze, critically analyze, and assess. 4 of them. Now, explanation goes on to be having a slight amount of a link with lucidification as well, to a large extent, that is explain. But explanation can go on to mean a lot of other things as well, taking a variety of factors into account and then dealing with it. Analyze is going to be a highest form of explanation. The highest form of explanation is analyze. So even if the topic goes on to be, let's say, discuss, and somehow you have analyzed it, not too many people are going to be actually penalizing you. But if the topic is analyzed and you describe it, you are definitely going to be penalized. But of course, you don't have to do this every time of sorts in this case. Now, picking up each one of them, explain the urban problems of urban growth in India. That means, again, in this case, we are talking about the simplification of the topic here. But supposing it goes on to be, that is, give an account of the problems of urban growth and explain why is it that this urban growth has created so much amount of a problem. Now, in this case, the meaning of the words have gone on to change. Now, this is largely because it has been used with why. Why is it it has happened? Now, then it goes on to mean, it means then thereafter it is going to be all about analysis. And it is analysis that will go on to matter in this case. So, when you are going to be talking about even examine the urban problems of India or examine the problems of urban growth in India, it is going to be the same thing like why is it that the urban problems keep on cropping in India? Explain. Examine the problems of urban growth. Analyze the problems of urban growth. Critically analyze the problems of urban growth. Assess the urban problems of urban growth and even examine the problems of urban growth. It's the same meaning by and large. Of course, you don't have to be so flimsy because when you go on to be in diplomatic services, you may go on to think about even separating even finer nuances of it. But in this case, you will be excused for being a student. Now understand it. Analyze or critically analyze separates every facet of the topic threadbare that makes up the issue and that makes up the subject. Threadbare. That means what, where, why, how, etc. etc. Critically analyze and analyze doesn't mean that you have to draw criticism. Now understand the meaning of the word criticism. Criticism is essentially pointing out all of those type of flaws that are associated with any phenomena where the person who is using it derives a pleasure out of it. It's like, let's say, a teacher criticizes a student that, see, your answer is not good, it must be improved. That he means an improvement over the candidate. Maybe if there is another person who says that, see, your answer is not good and that requires improvement, what is the type of answer that you have written? Now, this type of a criticism means that the person who is criticizing is deriving some type of a pleasure out of it. And when any person can go on to derive any pleasure out of it, that really creates a problem. Now, this is what this topic doesn't mean. The criticism in this case does not go on to mean critical in this case, does not go on to mean criticism as such. It means that is you are a bit critical of certain components and concepts. And critical means you don't go on to take the topic on its face value. You will go to say, no, I agree with it, but then there are certain aspects that are not agreeable as well. That is, of course, there is an urban problem, but then they're not everything associated with urban growth is going to be agreeable as well. So we'll start presenting a different perspective in this case. And because this is largely because it goes on to show your personality. And if this topic is going to be asked to you, it actually means that you have to show your personality in this case, right? So it doesn't mean any criticism, rather means not accepting the idea, not accepting it wholeheartedly, rather having a different type of a viewpoint altogether. Having a departure from this viewpoint with a reason. You are departing from the topic not without a reason, you are departing with the topic with some type of a reason. Some of these reasonings may be path-breaking, analysis, giving a completely different perspective which may be sometimes revolutionary as well. That is critical analysis. That is going to be analysis or critical analysis, and that is also going to be, of course, to a large extent, examine as well. All these three words can be considered in synonymous manner. For example, if this topic, the same topic, urban growth, is picked up in this manner, then the approach towards the topic has to be first in its introduction. That is, urban growth and urban growth is associated with a lot of changes in the mindset of the people, in the landscape of the people, in the way the people going to perceive their environment, the way people going to behave, and the way people going to live and react with their environment, ultimately leading to formation of a completely different type of a cityscape and landscape that is tuned to the culture of that place. That goes on to become introduction. Urban growth is always going to be associated with some type of a cataclysmic change taking place in the nature of the society, in the country. It is reflective of the change. It is a cause of the change. It is a change that goes on to bring about a change, and it's a change that can also go on to create a lot of problems. Urban areas are catalyst of social change. It's a catalyst of a city change, and it's a catalyst of the change in the thinking of the people also. Such type of changes are because of many reasons. But then one of these regions may go on to be acting in one place, and the second region may not go on to, and the same region may not go on to act in another place. For example, in Delhi, urban problems in most of the places go on to be taking place largely because Delhi has been a historical city. Most of the roads in Chandni Chowk region, in Daryaganj region, have been made too narrow. This is largely because there were various types of residential areas near to the road, and there was no scope for the expansion of these roads beyond a certain point. Now, these roads were meant only for a small and only for a slow-moving traffic, not for a fast-moving traffic. What had happened in the due course of time is that with the advent of the new type of cars, the entire of the traffic scenario has gone for a change. So in a place which was capable of handling only some 100 vehicles, now they happen to be handling something like 1,000 vehicles. So the traffic problem in Delhi in this place is going to be completely different. While it may be the reason in this place, it may not be the reason in some place like that of Hajj Khas region, largely because the government has made regulations where the people can go to travel only on foot. There are no vehicles that can be allowed in those type of places. So the nature of a traffic problem in this case is because of a different cause, that is historical factor. But historical factors may not be the exact cause of a problem in some other regions like Tughlaqabad, where there are no roads that go on to go inside the region. They are going to be sprawling areas that go on to cover the whole of the Tughlaqabad region and the place. So the cause of a traffic problem in Delhi, maybe one of these problems is going to be the historical factors, but historical factors are not always the reason. Most of these important factors are associated with the way people go on to handle traffic. Even in a Chandni Chowk and Daryaganj region, if the people go on to follow the protocol, the discipline, the law and the traffic rules, then there won't be too much amount of a problem in the movement of the traffic, and the traffic flow can be smooth, although it will be a bit slow. Most of the people do feel that they can go on to move in a zigzag manner and also in an undifferentiated manner in places like that of Chandni Chowk and Daryaganj. The problem was bound to be there in that case. Now understand that what we are talking about here is that we are discussing that there is one problem and there is another problem. Now the same problem, the cause of this problem here is different, and the cause of the same problem somewhere else is different. The same factor can go on to cause a problem in this place, while the same factor may not go on to cause a problem in another place. That is analysis. So even if you are going to be talking about, forget about traffic problems, you are going to be talking about civic sense. Then the basic nature of the problem emanating in an urban area is essentially going to be lack of civic sense in most of the places. Like in north of Delhi, there are going to be a lot of migrants from the Hindi belt in that region who have not seen that type of a city life which is going to be existing in this place. But while that may be the case, in some places, maybe in most of these affluent places in the southern portion of Delhi, people are so apathetic about their city that they do go on to create such type of a condition. While they are mindful of the fact that they are going to be affected by this problem, while in North Delhi, people don't go on to even think that they are going to be affected by this type of a problem. Again the same case, and the same thing is being dealt in a different manner. Talking about the transportation, you will always going to feel that is the basic problem of the nature of transportation is a very high number of cars and the moving vehicles and personal vehicles in urban areas. But then this problem is because of different reasons in different cities. For example, in Delhi it is because of the fact that most of the people go on to be having a snobbish tendency, and then they want to own 4, 5, 6 cars, one for themselves, maybe 2 for themselves, one for their wives, 2 for their kids, and one of them going to be for the purpose of excursion and something else also. Now that is what goes on to improve the snobbish value of the people in these regions. Mostly this is not the same type of an attitude that the people can go on to carry in places like that of Mumbai, largely because people are more cosmopolitan in this region, they are more rationalized in comparison to that of Delhi. So despite the fact that the income level may be high in Mumbai, the wanting for the cars and the personal vehicles is not going to be so much in that region also. That means there is going to be same type of problem in one place and a similar type of problem, but the nature of the problem goes on to differ. That is analysis. That is critical analysis in this case. A slight departure from that is assess. Assess is each of these demands and answer that puts forward arguments, critical comments and evidence which is judged and evaluated. Once again, it is judged and evaluated. Now, even in analysis, you have judged and evaluated certain things. For example, you have judged the fact from the previous discussion, you know that you have judged this fact that most of the problem in Delhi is going to be because of a large number of vehicles, and most of these large number of vehicles is because of the snobbish value. That is a judgment. We have not talked about a variety of factors that may be working. So that is one of these factors. Of course, the income level of the people is going to be another one of them. But where exactly is it that the income level of the people is not very high? It is in Gurgaon, it is in Bengaluru, it is going to be in some portions of Hyderabad. Of course, Mumbai is also going to be one of those type of places. Assess is in this case again that is going to be evaluated and judged. So we are going to be talking about one topic, another judgment, and then we're going to say which of this judgment is going to be better. So urban problems in Delhi is going to be insurmountable, or it is going to be much more bigger than the urban problems of Mumbai. Will depend upon what exactly are the variables that we going to pick up that will go to help make such type of judgment. So we're going to say that in Mumbai these problems are going to be insurmountable, largely because the scope of expansion of Mumbai is very limited because of the Western Ghats. It is located in a very narrow strip. But having said that, Delhi doesn't going to be having such type of insurmountable problems as far as the traffic is concerned. Still, the number of cars in Delhi is going to be much more than the total number of cars that goes on to be found in the entire of the 4 metropolitan cities of India. So the problems go on to be remaining same, or they can go on to become different, but the nature of the problems go on to be different. The 5th directive in this case is going to be associated with comparative presentation. That is, the directive in this question, or the tail word in this case, can go on to be compare, contrast. Now both of these ask for the constant comparison of 2 or more geographical features. I repeat, that is 2 or more features. It can be geographical, it can be sociological, it can be scientific. Compare and contrast the geostationary satellites from that of polar satellites. Compare and contrast the peninsular drainage from that of Himalayan drainage. Compare and contrast stagflation from inflation. Compare and contrast the urban problems of Delhi in comparison to Mumbai. Now that goes on to make it orderly. That is, this is a simple part. And in this case, the presentation is also going to be simple. And there are two ways that you can go to follow: compare and contrast. So when you're contrasting, you can go on to make it in a tabular form. And when you're comparing it, it's always going to be better not to write in a point-wise form, largely because anything that is going to be written in a point-wise form, that goes on to eat up a lot of your language, and telegraphic language is going to be impressive for no one, except for some of these type of coaching institutes, which always we don't going to have the capability to use that type of a language. It goes on to be grammatically correct, and that also goes on to be very smooth flowing also. Inability of these to use such type of a language is what goes on to create a major problem in this case. So in this case, the candidate must go on to write separate descriptions. For example, compare and contrast the urban problems of Mumbai with urban problems of Delhi. So you're going to say that Mumbai's problems are going to be compounded because of the location. Location is one factor. So you pick up location. Mumbai's location is narrow. Delhi's location is going to be sprawling, and it goes on to be spreading itself over whole of Delhi, Gurgaon, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and so on. Haryana included in that. The second will go on to be the nature of the problem. That is, the nature of the problem in Delhi is that goes on to be having a very high number of vehicular traffic. The nature of the problem in Mumbai is that is the loss of space. The third is civic amenities. The civic amenities in Mumbai are very, very old. In most of the portions of Delhi, they have been refurbished. But despite that, the problem is going to become insurmountable, largely because the civic sense of the people in Delhi is going to be much more less than what exactly it goes on to be in Mumbai. Then safety of the transport. In Mumbai, despite the fact that a lot of safety precautions go on to be taken, a lot of deaths go on to be taking place on the suburban railway. While in Delhi, most of these deaths go on to be taking place on the roads, largely because of the apathetic nature of the driving that the people go on to follow on the roads of Delhi. Now that goes on to become compare and contrast. So in this case, the best of this approach and a better rational approach in this case is to pick up a paragraph approach. Maybe you can go on to, if you don't go on to be having time, you can go on to pick up a table, and you can go on to put one thing here and there as well. Such type of topics are always best attempted in the last. When you think that you don't have enough amount of time to use any language, then you can go ahead with this type of answering, leaving the space in that place for the purpose of picking up this topic. And the examiner will go on to be understanding, he will go on to a development understanding, because you've written all the other answers rather well, that you are capable of writing it as well. Then F is reasoning based. That is where some of these type of reasons are formed, and reasons exist. For example, some of these aspects like going to be account for. Now, account for asks the candidate to give reasons for any type of a phenomena, maybe geographical phenomena, maybe scientific phenomena. Why something exists or why something occurs. Often in this instruction that followed is importance or significance of it in that order or in that gradation of sorts. So that is what exactly is to be written. Both of these things that are going to be written account for and not account of. Account of is description, account for is the reasoning associated with it. So account for the urban problems in Delhi. Account for the growth of the urban area in Delhi. So you start writing it in the form of this is one part you can actually approach in a point-wise manner. But analyze, never. Examine, never. Assess, never. Never has to be in a point form. Never means it is N-E-V-E-R. Despite any coaching institute saying it so, this is something that you should never go on to do, largely because that is going to be fatal to you. You can imagine that 1 marks goes on to be the difference between you getting an administrative service or police service as well. So this is what you have to take into account to follow that part. So account for is that is you can go on to, you still don't have to write numbers, you can keep on changing paragraph in this case. Account for the urban problems of Delhi. Now we are not talking about description in this case. So we're going to say that most of the urban problems in Delhi take place because of one, that is a good amount of movement of the rural migrants to Delhi. Now second part is that you can go to write it growth of slums. But it is always going to be better in this case that you always go on to make a link with the topic. That is, as people go on to move towards the urban areas of Delhi, they go on to live in the peripheral parts of the city where there are a lot of employment opportunities. These peripheral portions initially are empty, but later on they develop a good amount of they develop a very large number of concentration of the people in this region. A very large concentration means that since there is no urban infrastructure, consequently it puts enormous amount of a strain on the urban infrastructure, and the whole of the settlement is ultimately transformed into a slum region. It goes on to become dilapidated in housing, and these slums go on to, this essentially goes on to develop itself into a squatter settlements, and when the civic amenities associated with those type of squatter settlements become so meager that the region goes on to degenerate itself into slum. Now that is account for. And imagine the flow of the linkage that has taken place in this region. What we are talking about is people move from rural areas to the urban areas. Second, they go on to crowd the peripheral areas. The third, in this peripheral area, that leads to the development of squatter settlements. The fourth, these squatter settlements go on to develop themselves in the form of slums. These slums go on to lead to crime, and that is a flow. Now, these are some of these type of topics where you can actually go on to make a flow chart, and the flow chart will be movement of people from rural to urban areas, growth of suburbs, increase in the population of the peripheral areas, increase in the number of squatter settlements, that leads to slums, that goes on to lead to dilapidated housing, that goes on to lead to crime. Now that goes on to flow. It is this flow chart that will go on to attract the attention of the examiner. And these are some of the places, only few places go on to offer a scope for certain type of a flow chart making as well. The next directive in this case is going to be, that is, some of these directives go on to require a presentation and organization, and that goes on to become discuss. Discuss is the term usually for a wide, all-embracing answers which gives an exchange of opinions, judgments, reasoned comments, and a general discussion of the subject from all angles. From all angles. I repeat, from all angles. It's all-encompassing, multidimensional. Often this word follows a quotation, maybe, may not be. Right, both of them. The candidate need necessarily agree with the comments that have been given, or maybe the quotation that has been given, but they can go on to make it very, very orderly, very structured. Now, when a question like discuss is asked, then the expectation from the candidate is that whether the candidate is able to structure and organize his thinking in this case or not. Now, pick up an example. Again, the urban problems, growth of urban problems in India. Discuss the problems of urban growth in India. Now, there may be tail question, that is, suggest remedies and things like that. So, for both of them, you will go on to begin by talking about what is an urban problem. Second, urban problem, is it a cause of a problem? Is it the nature of the problem? It is a product of a problem, or is it going to be a pervasive problem? That's the first part. This is introduction. You must have introduction. Then you're going to talk about the cause. And when you're going to be talking about cause, you will go on to classify it. That is, there are many causes, and these causes can be classed as environmental causes, they can be social causes, civic causes, administrative causes, governance causes, psych-related problems, and so on. Now then pick up one of them. Environmental problems. One, water pollution. Second is eating away of a good farmland. The third is subsidence of the land. The fourth is contamination of groundwater. Social problems, that is lack of civic sense. Second is apathy. Third is lack of social responsibility. Fourth is psychological problem. That is, most of these things are perception-driven, rumor-driven decisions. People take it. Then road rage. That is because of the irritation level that is very high in that place. Now that will go on to make it discuss. And even if it is that when you're suggesting certain things for the purpose of solving this problem, you will also go on to do the same thing here. For example, what you can go to do here is that you can go on to suggest it, that is for the purpose of tackling environmental issues, the basic aspect is educating the people, that is sprucing up the infrastructure, and there are going to be two components, ameliorative components and then the curative aspects. Curative aspect means remove pollution, ameliorative aspect is don't cause pollution. Now that is the way that you have to go ahead with it. This is a structure or organization of the topic. Discuss. A second is going to be associated with organization, and a structure is going to be illustrate. Illustrate is going to be all about to furnish an answer with drawing, pictures or other artwork intended for explanation, elucidated or adornment. That means how beautiful you can go on to make your answer. Supposing you have organized your answer not so well. Take an example that you have been asked about. Of course, it is difficult to apply it in a case of urban growth. It cannot be like illustrate the problems of urban growth in India. Maybe you can go on to be asked about illustrate the problem of environmental pollution, particularly in the light of stubble burning in Haryana. Illustrate. Now this is something that you can go to illustrate. You can go to make a map of India. You can go on to make a map of Haryana, and then you're going to say how is it that the westerly winds that going to blow from Haryana, they're going to bring various types of particles, and all of these particles as they're going to come and settle in Delhi, how is it that they go on to lead to temperature inversion, and this temperature inversion is also going to be responsible for the purpose of for not allowing the pollutant to clear up the whole of the sky also in this place. Now that goes on to become illustrative. Illustration means in this case, that means how is it that you can go to keep on drawing diagrams, and with the help of drawing diagrams, one after another, you can go to do it. Take an example. A better example can go on to be associated with illustrate the formation of the Himalayas. Then you will go to talk about first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, fifth stage, sixth stage. So as the Indian plate goes on to move close to that of the Tibetan plate, then they go on to make island arcs. Then thereafter there is subduction. Then there is ophiolite complex. Then there is going to be flakes. Then the whole of this thesis starts going to be getting closer. So keep on making diagrams, one, and explain these diagrams. Not exactly that you use the word to supplement. You don't have to use the illustration to supplement your text. You have to use the words to supplement your illustration in this place. This is what exactly it means. So that is that can also be with the help of examples or analogies as well. Illustration can go on to be in this form as well. There is another of them is opinion based, and there is one of this type of a question that can be asked. Opinion based is comment. One of them is going to be comment. Comment is where you have to remark. For example, who knows it better than you that keep on commenting about everything? You can keep on commenting, students keep on commenting about their teachers, about films that they're going to watch, about the actors, about the actresses, about most of the teachers that they have been taught with in their graduation and so on. They must have given a name like what was the name given in Three Idiots. That is a part of it. This is about commenting on the situation, maybe commenting on the political situation, on a phenomena or an event of sorts. So it is a note explaining, illustrating or making remarks, observations or criticism, maybe by criticizing it, maybe by meaning or for writing. It is about observation or remark in which you go on to express your opinion on an attitude. For example, in this case, the topic can go on to be the urban problems of Delhi are far more bigger than the urban problems of Mumbai. We're going to say, no, I don't going to agree. And the urban problems of Mumbai are far more greater than that of Delhi. And we're going to say, this is what is my view, and I'm going to subscribe by that. Now, take an example. That is, most of the traffic problems in cities are created because of a large number of cars rather than that of the development of a public transportation. We are again going to say indeed that is the case, but I don't going to agree public transportation will go on to solve all the problems. Of course, you're going to say that public transportation is going to solve problem, and you have to make the public transport different categories. Elitist public transportation, one suitable for the middle class, another going to be suitable for the lowest class of the people, because people are very flimsy about whom they are traveling with, and that does sometimes go on to affect the stature of a person who happen to be traveling in such a manner. A person who has park their car near to the metro station, and after having parked their car, then they're going to pick up metro, they will going to have a different type of expectation in comparison to a person who is a daily wage laborer in this case. So both of them are going to be different. You say there is no, my comment is that the number of vehicles will keep on increasing unless the public transportation is going to be actually made elitist of sorts, and that there is a semblance of hierarchy that is going to be introduced in public transportation. The last component of it in understanding the directives of the question go on to be where we have to substantiate certain things. Now, so far, at least in terms of comment, you have to give an opinion. While in substantiation, you have to prove certain things. You have to substantiate certain things that is already proven. So you will start giving an argument, and you will start talking about the same thing. For example, that is, Delhi is likely to be affected by greater number of environmental pollution problems in comparison to Mumbai. And that is a proven fact. You say that yes, I agree to it because Delhi has a higher number of landfills. Delhi goes on to be affected by temperature inversions. The groundwater is very contaminated. Delhi doesn't going to get affected by sea breeze like in Mumbai, which can actually go on to remove all of these type of pollutants. Moreover, the amount of rainfall in Delhi is not going to be high that can go to wash a lot of pollutants out into the open. So because of all of these factors, Delhi is likely to be much more polluted in comparison to that of Mumbai. So you have proven this. That means the question can be asked about prove this statement, substantiate this statement, or give arguments in favor of this statement. Now, the purpose of this entire exercise was to show that not all the type of questions go on to be like that. That means you go on to be having different type of questions, and the meaning of these different type of questions go on to be different. We again come to the basics of it. That is, if you're asked what's your name, the reply has to be different. When you're asked about analyze your name, the reply has to be different. When you're asked about comment on your name, then the reply has to be different. When you're asked critically analyze your name, then the reply has to be different. Don't go on to go by your babas who go on to be keep on suggesting you for a lot of things. Just go on to follow this part. This is a standard universal practice of and a means to test the student's caliber to classify, reclassify, rezig, or even to organize their knowledge, and how is it that they can go to present. Following the directives of the question is one of the most important way of trying to improve your presentation. No one going to appreciate you if you are asked something else and you will reply something else. Then they will going to ask you again. In this case, when you are talking one-to-one with a person, maybe in interview they can go to ask you once or twice. But in mains examination, once you have written, and that stays written. Whether you're going to make a mistake in this case or not, that completely depends on you. Your career is your concern, and you are the only one who are going to be responsible for your career. No one else.